Welcome, all IHOP managers, to Geek Salad's Retro Movie Reviews from the Geek Salad Podcast. I'm Andy.
And I'm like,
And yes, tonight we are serving up a load of flapjacks and Man of Steel. With Henry Cavill being back in the news as returning to the DC Cinematic Universe. We felt it's kind of shocked we haven't done this one yet, but it was definitely worth the rewatch to just try to remember what, kind of how I feel about this movie.
Was it worth the rewatch?
No, it was absolutely not. I really kind of wish I had left it alone because I had a higher regard for this movie prior to the rewatch.
As did I, actually.
It was difficult. It was a difficult movie to watch for a number of reasons.
For a movie that has so many elements right, I mean, Henry Cavill, I think, is a fantastic Superman. I really like him as an actor, too.
Mm-hmm.
He's a proper geek, too.
Yeah.
Big time. Amy Adams, I freaking love. I think she's a fantastic actress. Lawrence Fishburne, I think, is a phenomenal actor. For a movie with so many good elements, to get them all so wrong,
yeah,
is amazing.
And that comes. Oh, I don't know. The IHOP product placement was worth the rewatch. Oh, the
multitude of product placement.
Oh my God! All in the town square too. That all gets destroyed. I mean, I don't know if that's a positive thing. It's like, okay, well, Sears, you're going to be in this. You're dying right now, but hey, maybe this will rejuvenate. Nope, not Ursa punched you through a wall at Sears.
7-Eleven, yeah, we got to. Oh wait, no, it just blew up. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot about this movie. Like, I'm with you. I like Henry Cavill a lot. I feel like it's tough to judge him as Superman only because his appearances as Superman, and I have not seen Black Adam, but I don't think it would color my opinion one way or another that Henry Cavill is great. He looks the part, but we have yet to actually see him exhibit Superman-ness because he has been placed in the hands of people who just fundamentally, on a micro fundamental level, do not understand the appeal of this character.
Yeah, the only time when I felt I've seen hints of him being a proper Superman was in the original Justice League, in the very last 5 minutes or so. And that's one reason why I don't hate it as much as you do, is because I've been waiting so long to see just a hint of him as a good proper Superman.
Yeah,
that was the only time I got any hint of it.
Yeah, and it was just merely a hint of it. And for that, I just kind of felt like he was just... It was akin to when he got his superpowers back and went into the diner as Clark and then beat up that trucker. Yeah. Just that was...
Yeah. See, well, actually, the only real parts of this movie that I somewhat enjoyed, that I thought were the best parts, are when they actually allowed the characters to have a hint of fun, and they're rare. Most of the time,
they are very few and far between. There is
most of the time they're not allowed to have fun in this movie.
No, because they're so worried about being so serious. The funny thing about this movie is I feel like I remember things taking because I saw this in the theater, so I remember things taking a while to build up. And then when I went back to watch it, I'm like, within the first 45 minutes, he's already at the ship. He's already got the suit. And I was like, I thought that happened later in the movie. And I kind of wish that it had happened later in the movie, and then it just kind of it would feel it felt longer when I realized what the timestamp was.
Yeah. It really, not meaning to go back to the Christopher Reeve Superman, but it felt like they all right, so let's take everything from Superman 1, everything from Superman 2, and push them together into one movie.
Well, that's kind of the issue with the entire DCEU, is that it was a rush job. It was an absolute rush job. We have to hit if because we would say that Man of Steel is essentially Iron Man, right?
Basically,
in terms of phase one comparison, because it's the
Yeah.
one that kicks off the cinematic universe. But they feel like they had to play a game of catch up. So everything was like, okay, we're going to get Iron Man 1 and 2 in there. And it was just like, that in and of itself was the problem with the DCEU, is that they're trying to do in a couple of movies what it took Marvel multiple movies to accomplish,
Yeah.
And it's, we got to Civil War in the second movie, essentially, it's,
Basically.
but, with this movie, it's just, there's so much wasted potential. Unfortunately, and this goes back to kind of where you rank them in the whole DCEU, placement-wise, it didn't move because it's kind of in this weird, there's like a pillow slot in between the good stuff, then there's Man of Steel, and then there's the shit. This wasn't a shit movie, but it wasn't great.
No, it's really weird because you don't really out and out hate it,
Right.
but there's nothing really about it to like. I mean, very, very little about it to like.
It's unremarkable.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's probably the best term for it. And I feel like the love that it gets is it's the best of the DCU Superman movies by default, because it's the only one where he's the focal superhero. I mean, even in his own damn sequel, he wasn't the main character. Which is, it sucks. And it's hard that we have to keep going back to that. But knowing what we know now with a 9-year removal, this movie came out 9 years ago. Yikes.
Yeah, and I don't know, just rewatching it kind of just reinforced my initial thoughts that Zack Snyder, David Goyer, and Christopher Nolan really have no idea about what makes Superman special, and they spent the entire movie trying to make him into something he isn't.
Right. I'm legitimately curious as to what extent of involvement Nolan had on this, other than it was part of the initial deal. Because his name doesn't appear anywhere on another producer's credit within any of these movies going forward. This is it.
Goyer wrote the screenplay, but the story was by Goyer and Nolan.
Okay. So he probably threw his ideas in there, and then I think that was it for him.
Yeah.
In terms of actual credited, involvement in this. And I think that was part of the deal where it's like, maybe we can get Christopher Nolan to write Superman the way he wrote Batman.
And that's the problem, is that they are two very, very different characters.
Yeah.
But they kept trying to say, Superman's kind of like Batman with a blue and red costume, right? No.
Goyer, and the thing is also that Goyer has a fundamental misunderstanding of most comic book characters as well. And I know he wrote Blade. He's written a few of the...
Hey, he directed Blade Trinity.
Yeah, of course he did. And then there's Zack Snyder, who wasn't a big Superman fan to begin with, and then turned it into this whole altruism is bad. You can choose to do the right thing, but it's really not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah, this movie had a very, very cynical and just bleak outlook on humanity.
And a lot of that, you and I were kind of conversing about it yesterday. It comes down to John and Martha Kent.
Yeah.
Martha seems to definitely be the more supportive of them, but not in the "Hey, Blade Trinity is the best Patton Oswalt movie ever." You shut your mouth. That's
Ratatouille, sir.
I believe they would like to have a word with you. It was because Martha was kind of there, but she really didn't really give him any great advice. She was there to kind of calm him down when he was having his episodes in school when he was younger. And then by the time we get to BVS, she's, you can be their hero or don't. You don't owe the world anything, which is like, well, you just blew this.
Yeah, she was in BVS for Martha.
That was the only reason why she was there.
Yeah.
And then there's Jonathan Kent. It was just
the worst father figure in the history of DC films.
Yeah. Oh my God. He is just like, it's just like Superman didn't need to learn tough love. Superman needed to learn what was right and what was wrong. And, we think about, the Jonathan Kent in Superman the movie.
John Ford, I think.
John Ford, yeah. He was very much a positive influence on Clark, whereas as Costner's Jonathan Kent was just very, I'm not going to tell you what is right or what is wrong, but I'm going to give you a lot of mixed messages too.
Yeah. Keep everything special about you hidden. Keep it contained. Don't show it to anyone because the world is a terrible place. But someday you'll be happy.
Right, exactly. Just not with me in it. So it's
not like don't like. I mean, hell, Smallville spent like with Jonathan Kent spent 6 seasons of him like learning how to like still use his abilities but hide his identity. And nah, fuck that. Just don't use your abilities at all.
Yep.
Let everybody die. Who cares?
Yep. Those kids should have died.
Yeah.
Fuck them. It's just really rough because that really does seem like I really kind of wish that we had gotten the whole like is he with us or is he against us? I wish that we would have gotten that all out of the way in the the Smallville Plaza, and then that was it. And not have to extend it out to every other goddamn DC movie. That we're going to have this Superman level threat. We got lucky this time, but we're going to have another Superman level threat. So let's get the guy with the boomerang, who's really good at boomerangs, to go take him down.
There's a girl in clown makeup with a big hammer. I bet she can take down Superman.
She can totally do that.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that galled me the most about this movie, it was the kind of the tone deafness of the violence, and not so much the violence, but like the big set pieces of blowing up cities, and taking down pretty much all of Smallville in a ball of fire, and then even though it's a lot of people will wrongly blame Superman for the destruction of Metropolis. He's only responsible for about 1/3 of that destruction because 2/3 of that were definitely the planet smashing, Krypton thing.
Yeah.
But he was still responsible for like taking buildings down while flying Zod through them. He was
there's so like the last half of this movie just there are so many things like why it doesn't make sense. It's like
no
when Goyer was writing, it was like, well, I need it to get to this point. So this point he can either do this or this. This would make more sense for the character, but it wouldn't lead to the ending that I want. So he's going this way. It's like why would Zod want to remake this world in the Krypton when he has superpowers?
And as long as because he was able to get over it really fast.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it took Superman like 30 years to learn how to use all his powers. Zod about half an hour.
Yep.
At most.
Yep. And that's the thing too. I mean, I like the idea of he's from an alien world and there's going to be atmospheric differences or whatever, but it's not like. I think the reason why they were going to do that was because they were going to strip the Codex from Clark and make their own race of Kryptonian Supermen, which is, first of all, that whole thing is stupid. Zod's entire impetus on Krypton makes no sense. The babies are already genetically engineered.
Yeah.
So now we're going to perform eugenics on them? They've been doing that for centuries.
Yeah.
And the whole thing too is that there is zero payoff with the
Oh yeah,
codex.
yeah.
It's the MacGuffin of the entire movie, and in the long run of even this movie, there is zero payoff. It's just like, well, it's in me now, and I don't know if that means that he's going to have to start having babies with Lois or not, but
we need that MacGuffin. We have to protect the MacGuffin. He's still a MacGuffin. We got to kill him. And then, like, 45. By the end of it, it's like MacGuffin. Who gives a fuck?
yeah, exactly. I got to go break Zod's neck.
Yeah.
Anything to stop him from just yelling his lines. I mean, my God, he made Sting in Dune look just positively subdued.
Yeah, Terrence Stamp overacted as Zod, but he had a charm, charisma, and a dignity that Michael Shannon sadly does not have.
Right, and a lot of it has to do with. I hate to say this, I love Michael Shannon as an actor, but the voice, because he's talking like this the entire time. It was driving me nuts when they were referring. I understand that the name L is the Kryptonian family name.
Yeah,
it is weird hearing them either just being referred to by that last name.
Yeah.
Instead of just being Kal-El or Jor-El.
Yeah.
Lar-El.
Honestly, one of the things that really bugged me the most about that final battle, though, it's like there are two superhuman godlike beings just battling it out through the city. Should we run to safety? No. Let's actually leave safety just so we can watch it. You're in danger. I don't care. I want to watch this.
Not only that, but I would feel like the news of half of Metropolis being destroyed should have spread to the other half of Metropolis that was left pristine until they start flying through buildings and taking down parking garages and stuff.
Yeah. Why the hell did they evacuate the Daily Planet when, as we see at the very end, that building was completely unmarred?
All right,
not a thing wrong with it.
All right, that is my issue. Just in terms of the tone deafness of this, because I mean, we were 12 years removed from 9/11. There are survivors that will still be feeling trauma from having experienced this. There are people who weren't there who are going to experience trauma, and then watching this essentially just devastation porn, only to turn it around in the unspecified days or weeks that there is nothing wrong. They've completely rebuilt Metropolis, which before that, when Zod and Superman meet up for the first time, like they are in the middle of a dust bowl. It is a parking lot.
Yeah.
Compared, and it's like, you rebuilt that fact. I'm sorry. That just it strikes me the wrong way.
That female intern Perry and that other guy that is there,
the House of Cards guy.
They were
the guy with the tickets.
They were seconds from death. They were like holding each other's hands, like we're waiting for death at this point. And hey, we don't want to go on a date with him. No, no PTSD at all here.
None. Everybody just got over it.
Let's go back
to Amanda Waller. Except for Amanda Waller, of course. Oh, and Alex Luthor, who was, his entire plan hinges on a jar of piss. Plan don't work if you don't get the piss. It's so it's tough because I mean this movie is held in such high regard, and just going back and watching it. First of all, the special effects are jank as hell. Some of the flight scenes were cool, but there are scenes when he is when he's covered in flames at the very beginning, when he's trying to rescue those guys from the oil barge.
Yeah.
That just you could tell it's a layering process that they did on that.
Yeah.
The bus sinking literally looks like they just took the thing and just digitally erased half of it. There are
I mean, the fights were, I mean, when the actual fights between, especially between Superman and the big huge hulking Kryptonian and Ursa.
Yeah.
Those ones were just like let's have a lot of shaky cam because and like so you don't focus on any one thing too much. It was a headache inducing, but and
It,
like most of the stuff I wasn't it didn't bother me too much, but at the end when like just when they're in that dust bowl and Superman just like lifts up and just like just,
yeah,
I'm like,
he's horizontal.
oh,
He just flies horizontal like that.
yeah, and he does it again. He does that exact same motion later on in the fight. I'm like, it didn't look good the first time. Why are you doing it twice?
Yeah,
Oh, it was awful.
it's yeah, and I mean, there's all that, and then we've got. I mean, all right. Should Superman have killed Zod? My answer is yes. He should have killed Zod.
Yeah,
But
and it doesn't kind of make sense. You know, it was basically them or him or
yeah,
the
yeah,
world. There was no trapping him after that. You know,
right.
this
But there's also there was no leftover trauma of it either. It's just okay. Well, shit happens. Let's move on.
yeah.
Yeah, it's this movie is just really rough. Now, the Hans Zimmer score, which again, because Black Adam apparently lifts the Williams score, people got pissed at that. And it's like, the Zimmer score is fine, but you can't hum it the same way you can the Superman theme. It's not as easily identifiable as the Superman theme. And quite honestly, just like most of this movie, it's unremarkable.
Yeah.
I know you're a bigger fan of Hans Zimmer than I am. I think a lot of Hans Zimmer stuff just it serves its purpose and it's good, but there's always a better composer out there.
I think Zimmer can be extremely talented. I mean, when he really gives you that theme, you notice that theme.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will agree. A lot of his scores are just like background noise.
Yeah.
They just happen and they don't stand out.
And even like the flight, the first, when Superman flies for the first time,
which
I mean, the music was built to feel epic in a sense.
Yeah.
But again, I feel like because comparing it to Williams and comparing it to the Reeve movie, it's impossible not to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, we first hear the Superman theme outside of the credits. The first time we hear it in the story and context of the movie is when he finally gets the suit. Yeah. When he comes out with a suit in this one, it's just there. It's a scene.
Yeah. There's I mean, for me, there really is nothing remarkable about the score of this one.
No.
It just happens. It is. It's fine. Just nothing special.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and this movie is fine. I mean, when you're ranking like the low end of the movies in the DCEU, this doesn't come close to being the worst movie.
No.
In my opinion, Batman versus Superman is still the worst of them because it had the highest expectations and failed spectacularly on each and every one of them. And this is coming from somebody who said that the Suicide Squad was odious. Like having an anvil dropped on your head, they're heavy as hell. Yeah, that's a great way of putting it, Kurt. It is. It's super heavy. It sounds, honestly, you know what? It sounds great when you cut to the end credits. It sounds great in that context, and that's honestly how I think about it. But there's nothing memorable about it. As far as I'm aware, too, I don't know if that theme. I mean, I haven't listened to the BVS soundtrack to know if it made a return at all, or if Junkie XL decided to do something else. Well, that's everybody decided they needed that for Wonder Woman, which is like hands down, I think the worst hero theme of them all.
Yeah, in history,
it's terrible. It is genuinely terrible. But yeah, I just feel like this movie had so much potential. It could have very well been, it could have done more. But because they didn't seem interested in telling a Superman story, they felt like telling a Jesus parable.
Yeah.
And don't think I didn't notice that when Clark is talking to the priest, you're not looking at the stained glass of the Garden of Gethsemane.
Yeah, which he's sitting right in front of.
Did you see how subtle I was? Did you? Did you?
I think one of the things that bugged me the most throughout the entire movie, though, is Zack Snyder's choice to use a very muted color palette. I mean, and I'm not one that usually notices color palettes, and it's like, did he want no colors to pop at all? Like I couldn't even. It was hard for me to tell that his suit was blue because
Even
it's just like gray the entire time.
even the suit, exactly, even the suit, because the suit was a darker. It was like almost like a cobalt blue as opposed to like the bright blue.
Yeah.
It needed to. The colors represent the hope that Superman brings, and what that S is apparently supposed to mean.
And there was nothing that even the explosions were fairly muted in tone.
Yeah, yeah, and that's. I mean, again, think about the Donner movie, and think about how he used different color palettes to tell different stories. So everything was what had like that bright wheat colored yellow when he was in Kansas. And then it moves to the darker colors in the city, but his costume always stood out. Bright reds, bright blues. And it's just the suit the suit was supposed the suit's supposed to sell you on him being Superman. And it was just kind of like it's Henry Cavill in a suit. Why did he shave? First of all, when did he find time to shave on the air on that thing?
And come on, this is Superman. He uses a mirror and just gone.
It was funny because when we first saw it, Autumn's like, "Oh, why'd he shave? He looks so much better with the stubble."
Well, that's what The Witcher is for.
Yeah, well, he doesn't shave. He's clean shaven in that one too, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I must be thinking about the video game because he's got it. Because
okay, yeah, and I really haven't done much on season 2. We kind of started watching it and then stopped for no reason. But I mean, overall,
yeah, the whole movie, it felt like he was filming it with a sunglass over the lens.
And that's been a complaint of Snyder's films within the DCEU, is that it's just, okay, here's the color palette, let me just shift everything over to the left so you can't see anything. There is no hope for superheroes. It's just, everything is dark and gray, and as long as I can get my Leonard Bernstein stuff in, I'll be happy. So
sorry, Kitty wanted to come in.
No, that's fine. That's fine. It's the movie in and of itself is fine, but
it could have been so much better.
It honestly could have been, and that's it's kind of its major failings is that it's a lot of ideas that are misdirected to tell a story that isn't about Superman.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons I'm so happy that there is going to be a second Superman movie with Henry Cavill, because he deserves to have another shot to do it right.
Yeah, and we don't know if that's actually going to be a full movie, if he's just going to be like Benedict Cumberbatch and just starting to show up in other people's movies.
No, he's getting his own. He's getting a Superman 2.
Okay.
They have officially.
I know that James Gunn is high on getting him rolling into it, but the whole thing is that the only reason why he showed up in Black Adam is because Danny Garcia is his agent. Danny Garcia, who's the ex-wife of Dwayne Johnson, is also Dwayne Johnson's agent, and she produced Black Adam. It's the only reason why he made it in there.
Well, that and I guess the new studio bosses were much more receptive to getting Superman back. And I guess the old studio bosses were like, no, we don't really want any more Superman movies.
Yep. I still think that the best comparison is that, DC doesn't know what to do with Superman. Yet a drunk girl who shows up on one episode of She-Hulk has just gotten like all the fan adoration.
I'm Superman with an M and two N's, but I won't. But not where you
I
think.
think. So I mean, again, this is smack dab. Actually, do I have my updated? I haven't seen Black Adam, so I'm going to go onto my Letterboxd real quick and see where I ranked. Where I ranked it in my list here, because I think I've updated all of them. DCEU. Okay, I think I've got.
I haven't touched my list for a while.
I'm trying to think. What was the last besides?
I mean, there was the Suicide
Man of
Squad.
Steel in this is 6th, and based on how I choose what is going to be in the DCEU. I haven't put the Batman in there. I kind of tempted to do that, but
what about Harley Quinn?
Harley Quinn is my number 1.
Really?
And if we're being honest, if Teen Titans Go to the Movies was a DCEU film, which it, by all rights should be, it's my number 2. This is according to my Letterboxd. The Suicide Squad is 3, Shazam is 4, Wonder Woman is 5. Then there's that giant air pillow in between, and then Man of Steel, and then another giant air pillow with Aquaman and Wonder Woman 84, and then another giant air pillow, and then Snyder Justice League, Joker, Suicide Squad, and BVS.
You've seen way more of the DCEU than I have.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, I know my number 1 is still going to be Shazam. I just had so much fun with that movie.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'd put I'm not going to call it Birds of Prey. Harley Quinn in there. Have not seen the Suicide Squad yet. I think I like Aquaman more than I like Man of Steel, primarily because of my gigantic man crush on Jason Momoa.
Yeah. I felt like with Aquaman, he is great in it. Everybody else in the movie is ridiculous. And it's just that wall of CG bukkake that is just. I remember like talking to one of our old coworkers about. He's like, special effects are amazing, and I watched them like, no, they're not.
If I had to guess, I would think I think I know who you were talking about.
Yeah, exactly. And then Wonder Woman 84 is dumb and inoffensive.
Yeah, I don't know. I took a lot of offense to that third act.
Yeah, well, yeah, but then everything else is just just Snyder Cut stuff.
When you alter the rules that you've already established in your own movie, that's an unforgivable offense for me.
So, but that I don't know. You have anything else to say about Man of Steel?
Yeah. I thought if the Avengers taught us anything is if your city is being destroyed, try looking for cover.
Yeah.
Try parry that girl, and when they see a building collapsing on them, they're running straight. No, run to the side where it's not falling.
Hey, you need to follow the Charlize Theron rules of Prometheus.
Yeah, didn't you learn anything from Alien Covenant, or was it Prometheus? Or
no, it's Prometheus.
Who gives a fuck?
So, all right. So that was Man of Steel. We'd love to know what your thoughts are. Leave a polite comment below. I know this one gets a lot of love, and we are really not trying to trash the movie, but I would recommend watch it with a clean slate.
I thought of one more thing. For as much as I love Amy Adams, Lois Lane was completely useless in this movie. She had to be rescued at least a half dozen times
in this movie, and then wait till the next one.
And I'm sorry, but why was she on that military jet at the end? It's like, now it's up to you and Hamilton. It's like, I think Hamilton could have handled everything because she did nothing.
Yeah.
Except get thrown out at the end and have to have Superman rescue her again.
Yep.
So and I love Amy Adams so much too.
Yeah, it wasn't the role that they had in mind was not a great fit for her.
Yeah, my guess is she was like reading the script. It's like, oh, it's terrible. Who's playing Superman again? Henry Cavill. And I get to suck face with him, huh? All right, I'm in.
There we go. Next
Henry
movie,
Cavill is not a
he'll
bad
walk into
man.
a bathtub fully clothed. So anyway, so that was Man of Steel. Leave a polite comment below. We'd like to know what you think about it. If this is your first time watching Geek Salad's Retro Reviews, thank you. Hit that subscribe button. Give this button a like. Share with your friends. Tell them that we're talking shit about a Snyder movie. So
It's
next
so hard
week,
not to.
it is. Yeah, it is. So next week, we are going to go back to Superman, but we're going to do something a little different. We're going to take a step back, and we are going to talk about 2006's Superman Returns.
Which is problematic in a whole nother way.
Oh, yes.
Actually,
Yes.
two whole other ways.
I haven't watched it in forever, so I'm really interested in seeing what your takeaways are, because I'm assuming you haven't watched it in a while either, right?
No, I think I might have watched it more recently than you have.
Okay.
But yeah, they're definitely like the director and one of the lead actors are highly problematic at this point.
You can take a guess.
Yeah, but there are other moments that are not as problematic in this one.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. So anyway, we will discuss those. Oh boy. So we will discuss those. So thank you again for joining us. Mike and I host a little podcast called Geek Salad. You can check that out wherever you get your podcast. It's your Spotify, iTunes. We even put the audio right here on YouTube. So make sure you're subscribing. Make sure if you're going to iTunes, you're giving us 5 stars. Anything less than 5 stars, don't bother. I've heard other people say that. I'm going to say the same thing. I don't give a shit anymore. If you want to find us, we are on the socials. Until it completely burns to the ground, we are still on Twitter at Geek Salad Radio. We are on Facebook at Geek Salad Podcast. And starting today, folks, just in case we need to run for shelter, we are on Mastodon at Geek Salad Radio. I kept it the same.
Yeah.
So just in case the entire house burns down around us, we will be we will have another social media presence.
Yeah, Musk seems to be firmly dedicated to making sure that happens as quickly as possible.
Oh my God. How does anybody think he's a genius billionaire if like every idea he has had in a week is wrong?
No, don't worry. He promised he would not sell any more of his Tesla stock, except for the $4 billion he did today that he promised he wouldn't do.
Wow, hard to believe. And I love that like some of the fake accounts, like the angel fake accounts that are willing to pay the $8 to verify under businesses are making their stocks crash too.
Mm-hmm.
Because Lockheed Martin, the one with the insulin, and there was one other. Catherine sent it over to me. Catherine sent me one that was like, now I got to go into my texts and look this one up.
And
oh yeah, it was Lockheed Martin. They crashed their stocks too.
Yeah, and just I want to say 1 or 2 days ago, Musk was at a conference begging all of the editors, don't leave, please. Wait, we've got a lot of big plans.
Yeah.
Okay, how are those big plans going out, huh?
Yeah, I would. If this were just like something he bought for a folly, I'd be fine with it if it didn't affect hundreds of employees and the livelihoods of potentially thousands of people.
Well, 50% of the hundreds now.
And more to come. Anyway, that's our rant. So, yeah, if you're still on Twitter, feel free to follow us on Mastodon as well. I'm going to stay. Honestly, I'm going to stay until the structure collapses completely. He ain't getting any of my money, but yeah, feel free to stay on there, but follow us on Mastodon as well. I think I'm done. I think I'm done shilling for the night. So anyway.
Yep, I'm good.
Until next time, I'm Andy.
I'm Mike.
Go forth and be nerdful. We'll talk to you later.
Up and away.